Hello, my friends. I hope that you're all feeling amazing today. Welcome to day one of our somatic experience together. So, we're going to spend 14 days in total, and they don't have to be in sequence, but it's a chance to get to be more connected with our bodies. Today, I'm going to do a little bit of explanation about what somatic movement is and the idea behind it. I'm going to give a couple little demonstrations before we actually move into the practice. So, if you're repeating this one, you can feel free to skip to the Soma scan. But it is really important to get a little bit of knowledge before we start. So, everything in somatic movement is to be done in comfort. So I would suggest making sure that you have a really comfortable space. You can do this perhaps on your bed or have a nice mat. Might want to go grab some pillows. I suggest bedroom pillows are best. We will do a little bit of rolling with the knees side to side, so perhaps even having them um, from side to side, a couple pillows there, maybe a pillow for your head. And then also perhaps a blanket because your body temperature will most likely lower and we don't want to feel cold. So make sure that you feel really cozy, really comfortable. The reason that I sort of gravitated towards somatic movement and the reason I did my certification in Somatics was because over the last couple of years, working with women, one of the things I really started to pick up on was that they were not connected to their bodies. And many of them are stuck in fight and flight. And if we're thinking of healing the body, whether it's from hormonal imbalances or whether we want to lose unhealthy body fat or change our body composition, sometimes that can be really challenging if our body is stuck in fight flight and it doesn't feel safe. So there are a couple of components to somatic movement which are really important. So soma means of the living body. There are a lot of times in life that we are very distracted by our external world and there is a lot of stimulation exteriorly. So what we want to try to do is move inward and connect with our physical body. And when people go through trauma, and even smaller traumas that add up, the easiest way, or one of the easiest ways for the nervous system to feel safe or to protect itself, I guess, to protect itself, is to disconnect from the physical. The main intent of somatic movement or exercise is actually not to have a big emotional release. There are times that an emotional release can happen because emotions get stored in the body. And when we connect with the physical again, that's when we can sometimes have that release. If something were to come up, or if you do have an emotional release, please just hold space for that without judgment. Come into this practice without any expectations. One of the main purposes, however, of somatics is to correct muscular contractions that may not be serving our body well. So, let's say, for instance, if you have an injury, if you are sitting in postures like this for long periods of time, the body starts to contract in a certain space. Or if you have an injury, it protects itself. If you've been through trauma, this is often the posture. We're in a protective posture. So that's where we start to get all of these misalignments. Our muscles can actually get stuck. So when we talk about diaphragm, so that we can breathe, when we talk about the chest and the ribs, they all get really tight. And often humans are more so in this position. So then we start to have all of these movement patterns that perhaps don't serve our body well. And then we end up with sometimes injuries or soreness in certain places. And that also does have an emotional connection as well. So, what we want to do is work with the body to correct some of these sensory motor amnesias that pop up. And so a sensory motor amnesia is just what it sounds like. The muscle forgets how to essentially contract and relax. So our muscles are meant to do just that: contract, relax, contract, relax. And sometimes it just forgets. So we're watching for, during the movements today, I want you to watch for and feel for sensory motor amnesias. And what does that feel like? It's like a little bit of a glitchiness. So you might feel your muscles kind of not quite knowing what to do. And those are movement patterns that we want to smooth out. And that's why we do things very, very slowly. All of these movements are done with very minimal movement. They're not big, big movements. I don't want you pushing or forcing the body. It's more about just going into our body, so inward and connecting. Please make sure you're not doing anything that causes pain or strain. Everything is with comfort. We will always start with a soma scan to see how our body feels initially, and then we will end with a soma scan to also come back into our space and to recognize any differences after the practice. So again, we'll work with the breath. I do invite you to close your eyes during the practice. If that is not comfortable, you do not have to close your eyes. But the whole idea of somatics is that you cannot see inward by looking outward. So in order to get connected, it does work better if we can do this eyes closed. I'll try to do my best verbal instruction so that you can follow along. You can even do these movements in your imagination, and they will work that way. So if there's a particular movement that you're not quite comfortable with, close your eyes and just envision doing that movement. All right, so we're going to begin with our soma scan. Let's get comfortable. And we're just going to lie down on the mat or wherever you have comfortable space. If you would like to put a pillow underneath either your knees or your head, please feel free to do so. And you can start with your legs lengthened. I usually start legs lengthened, or you can have your feet flat on the floor if that feels more comfortable. So let's just start with a few deep breaths. So tuning into the body, taking a nice deep inhale, either through the nose or the mouth. And exhaling. And again, nice deep inhale through the nose or the mouth. And exhale everything out of the body. We're just tuning in, coming into this practice with the zero judgment. And again, inhale, fill the belly with air. And exhale everything you do not need to hold on to. So just tuning into the body, using the mat for sensory feedback on the back of the body. Starting at the top of the head, how does your head feel on the mat today? Does it feel heavy? Does it feel light? Is it rolled, perhaps from one side more so than the other? And coming down into the neck and the shoulders. Just sensing and noting, am I holding any tension in the shoulder area? Moving down through the back of the shoulder blades, down through the upper and mid-back, and then down into the lower back. Just taking a moment to notice where the lower back is placed. Is it popped up off of the mat into extension, or is it lying flat? And moving down through the arms, the elbows, the forearms, into the wrists and the hands and the fingers. Taking those nice deep breaths and just sensing where your hands are in space. Are they flipped up towards the ceiling? Are they palms facing down? Are they perhaps facing the sides of your thighs? And moving back up to the front of the chest, the front of the shoulders. Just letting everything melt and relax. Coming down through the rib cage, into the belly, taking a nice deep inhale. And exhaling. Just noticing if we're holding any tension in the ribs, the belly, down into the pelvis, down into the hips, moving through the back of the legs, into the glutes, around the front of the thighs, and then down into the knees. Just noticing with the knees, am I holding any tension in this area? Are my knees rolled out to the side, or are they pointing straight up to the ceiling? And then moving down through the front of the shins, through the back of the calf muscles, down into the ankles, and then the feet and the toes. Just noticing if the feet and the toes are rolled out to the side, or perhaps they're pointing straight up towards the ceiling. Again, there's no perfect position. It's wherever your body feels comfort at this moment. And taking a nice deep inhale through the nose. And exhaling fully, letting everything go, letting the body melt into the mat. I'm going to invite you to just slide those heels up if they're not there already, bending at the knees, feet flat on the floor, and hands comfortably beside you. We're going to start today's practice with an arch movement. So it's going to be arching through the lower back. It's just going to be very, very mild. So on our inhale, we're going to lift the lower back just up off the floor. The hips going to stay in contact. So just creating that small little arch, belly rises towards the ceiling. And on the exhale, just slowly allow those muscles to return to neutral. And then again, we're going to inhale, create that small little arch, tipping the pelvis down, belly rises towards the ceiling, and you can press those shoulder blades down into the mat. And then exhale, just slowly let everything come back to neutral. And when you reach neutral, you can rest. We're going to do the opposite of that movement and come into a flattened position. So we're going to do a nice deep inhale. And as you exhale, we're going to tilt the pelvis, pushing the low back into the mat, contracting the front of the abdominals, bringing the attention to the front of the belly, and then slowly and smoothly allow those muscles to return to neutral. And here's where we want to sense for any of that sensory motor amnesia. We just want to note and see how smoothly are we able to allow those muscles to return to neutral. So again, inhaling through the nose, and on the exhale, Tilt the pelvis, low back goes into the mat, contracting through those abdominal muscles, bringing the attention to the front of the belly, and then return the breath to normal. Slowly release those muscles back to neutral. And then if it's comfortable, I'm going to invite you to bring those hands up, just supporting the back of the head. So just place them in behind the head and cradling the back of the head. We're going to combine those two movements. So we're going to do an arch, and then we're going to do a flatten into a curl, and I'll guide you through that. So nice deep inhale. On the inhale, we're going to do a little arch through that lower back. Belly rises towards the ceiling. Squeeze those shoulder blades into the mat and down towards the back of your lower back. And then as you exhale, slowly and smoothly allow those muscles to return to neutral. And moving through neutral, take another deep inhale. As you exhale, we're going to flatten, pushing the lower back into the mat, contracting the abdominals. Bring the elbows up towards the ceiling, and then lift the head, neck, and shoulders slowly into an abdominal curl, bringing awareness to the front of the belly, and then slowly and very smoothly allow the body to return back to neutral, watching for those sensory motor amnesias. When your head reaches the mat, slowly open those elbows out to the side, very slowly, very smoothly. And we'll try that one again. So nice deep inhale. On the inhale, arching through that low back, belly rises towards the ceiling, squeezing those shoulder blades together and down towards your back pockets. And then as you exhale, allow those muscles to return back to neutral very slowly and smoothly. And moving through neutral, nice deep inhale. As you exhale, coming into that flatten, pushing the low back into the mat, contracting through the abdominals. Elbows come together and lifting into that curl, head, neck, and shoulders, just to comfort. Bringing awareness to the front of the belly, and then very slowly and smoothly allowing the body to return back to neutral. And when your head reaches the mat, just open those elbows to the side very slowly. When you reach neutral, you can rest. You can release your hands down beside you. We're just going to lengthen the legs. And we're going to take the arms out into a T or a Y position. And again, just to comfort. So take a nice deep breath here. And then on our next inhale, we're going to take our right leg and think about lengthening it, stretching it towards the wall. And we're going to take that left hip and bring it towards the left rib cage. So allowing that stretch on the right side, but then closing off that space a little bit on the left. And then allow those muscles to slowly return to neutral. And then repeating that again, stretching that right side long. The right leg goes long. And on the left side, the left hip and the left rib come closer together. So you'll also stretch that right arm really long. And then allow those muscles to return to neutral. And just continue to take those nice deep breaths. And then this time, we're going to take the left leg and stretching the left leg nice and long. On the right side, the right hip and the right rib will come together, stretching that left arm long as well, bringing the attention to the side of the body, and then very slowly allowing that to release. And we'll try that once more. So extending on that left leg, lengthening, and then on the right side, bringing the right hip towards the left rib and lengthening that left arm as well. Just taking a nice reach. And then slowly allow the body to return to neutral. You can release those arms down beside you. Sliding those feet back up, bending at the knees, feet flat on the floor. We're going to roll to the side. So rolling all the way over onto your left side, placing the left arm underneath your head, or you can place a pillow. We're going to take the right arm, so that top arm, and bring it up, wrap it around just the side of the head. If that is not comfortable, you can place that right arm or the top arm in front of you. Our feet should be positioned as if we're sitting in a chair. So bending at the hips and the knees in that 90-degree angle position. We're going to start with a nice deep inhale. And as you exhale, we're going to lift the upper body, doing a side curl. So just holding that position. It doesn't have to be big. Bringing awareness to the side of the body, and then very slowly, very smoothly, allow those muscles and the upper body to return to neutral. And again, just checking in with the body, making sure it's within comfort. And we're going to try that one again. So nice deep inhale. And on the exhale, we're going to come up, contracting through the side body, bringing awareness and attention to those muscles. And then very slowly, very smoothly, allow the body to return to neutral. We're going to try that one again on the same side, but we're going to add on a heel lift towards the ceiling. So the knees will stay together, and as you curl up, the foot will guide towards the ceiling. So taking a nice deep inhale, and on the exhale, again, lifting, contracting through the side body. At the same time, I'm going to lift that foot towards the ceiling and holding that position. Knees stay together. And then very slowly, very smoothly, sensing for those sensory motor amnesias, allow the body to return to neutral. And when you reach neutral, you can release that top arm just down in front of you. Take a moment of rest. And then I'll invite you to roll onto your back again. And we're just going to lengthen those legs and note if there's any difference between the right and the left side, particularly in the hip area, down through the side of the core. And then we're going to roll to the opposite side. So rolling onto the right side. Again, that arm can just be placed underneath the head or a pillow. You can also place a pillow between the knees if that's more comfortable. Align the knees and the hips as if you're sitting in a chair. And then we're going to take that top arm and either place it in front of you or bring it up and around just to support the head. And starting with a nice deep inhale. And then as we exhale, lifting up, curling up through the side of the body, bringing awareness to those muscles. And then very slowly, very smoothly, allowing the head, neck, and shoulders to return to neutral. And then taking another deep breath, inhaling. On the exhale, we lift up, curling into that side body, bringing awareness to those muscles. And then very slowly, very smoothly, allowing the body to return to neutral. And we'll repeat that one last time. Keeping the knees together, we're going to allow that foot to float up towards the ceiling on the curl. So taking a nice deep inhale, and then as we exhale, curling the body up, contracting the side body, and lifting that foot up towards the ceiling. Holding that position for a moment and being aware of those muscles, and then very slowly and smoothly allowing everything to return to neutral. And when you reach neutral, you can rest, release that top arm. Take a moment here if you need, and then we'll return to lying on our backs. Keeping the knees bent, feet flat on the floor. We're going to do a little release for our lower back, bringing those arms out to a T position if that feels comfortable for you. This is where you might want to have a pillow on either side. We're actually going to start this movement just on one side. So we want the pillows on the side that we're going to roll the knees over towards. You might want to stack two, one on top of each other. So on the inhale, we're going to allow the knees to drift over to one side, very slowly. And on the exhale, we're going to draw those knees back up to neutral. And then we'll do the same thing on the same side, inhaling, allowing those knees to roll to one side. And as you exhale, draw them back up towards the center. We'll try that one more time on that same side, just rolling those knees gently over. As you exhale, allow those knees to float back up towards the ceiling. And then if you need, you can switch those pillows over to the other side. And on the inhale, we'll allow those knees to slowly drift to the opposite side this time. And on the exhale, bring those knees, draw them up towards the ceiling. And again, inhaling to the same side. Just very slowly and gently. And on the exhale, draw those knees back up to center. And then once more on the inhale, roll those knees over. And then on the exhale, gently allow those knees to come back up to center. When you reach neutral, you can rest. We're going to move through the arch and curl just like we did in the beginning. So bring those arms up and behind the head just to support the head if that feels comfortable for you. We're going to add on to this movement and draw the knee in as we curl. So take a moment to get comfortable. Take a nice deep breath. And then on our inhale, we're going to come into our arch position. Belly rises towards the ceiling, lower back lifts off the mat, squeezing those shoulder blades down towards your back pockets, bringing awareness to the back of the body, and then slowly and smoothly allowing those muscles to return to neutral. And then moving through neutral, taking another deep inhale. And on the exhale, flattening the low back into the mat, contracting through the abdominals, drawing those elbows up towards each other, and then curling up. And as we curl, we lift the knee in towards the front body. And then very slowly and smoothly, watching for those sensory motor amnesia, returning everything back to neutral. When your head and neck reach the floor, you can slowly open through those elbows out to the side and take a moment of rest. And again, we'll take a nice deep inhale into that arch position, lifting the lower back off of the mat. Belly rises towards the ceiling, squeezing those shoulder blades in and down towards the back pockets. And as you exhale, allow the low back to release and melt back towards the mat, releasing those shoulder blades. And then moving through neutral, take another deep inhale. As you exhale, pressing the lower back into the mat, contracting the front of the abdominals, bringing the elbows towards each other, and then lifting the upper body, head, neck, shoulders up off the mat, drawing the knee in towards the front of the body. And then very slowly, very smoothly, allowing those muscles to return back to neutral. And when your head and foot reach contact with the mat, you can open those elbows out to the side very slowly. Just allowing every muscle to melt back into the mat, back to our neutral space. You can go ahead and release those arms, bring them down beside your body. And then you can either lengthen the legs or keep them bent, heading into our final Soma scan. Taking a nice deep inhale and exhale. And again, taking a deep breath. And allow the body to melt on that exhale, just allowing those muscles to release. And now starting this time with the feet, you can wiggle the toes and the ankles, just sensing with the feet, how do they feel in this moment? Moving up through the ankles to the front of the shins, into the calf muscles, and then up to the knees, the front of the knees and the back of the knees. Just sensing and noting where they are in relation to the body. And where they are at this moment versus when we began the practice. Are they in a different position? Are we carrying less tension in that area of the body? Moving up through the front of the thighs, through the back of the thighs, into the glutes and the pelvis, moving up to the belly, in through the lower back. Just noting where the lower back is at this moment in comparison to when we started the practice. Is it lying more flat into the mat? Moving up through the belly and the rib cage. Are you getting any gurgling in the belly? Are you noticing less tension in that area of the body? In through the ribs and then around to the mid-back. Moving into the upper back through the shoulder blades. Just sensing and noting, where are my shoulder blades on the mat? Moving around to the front of the chest, into the shoulders, down through the arms, the forearms, the wrists, and the fingers. You can wiggle the fingers a little bit, just give them a nice stretch. And then moving back up to the shoulders, into the neck, moving into the jaw, the face, the back of the head. How does the back of the head feel in contact with the mat? Does it feel lighter now? Moving up to the top of the head, into the front of the forehead. Taking a nice deep inhale and exhaling. Taking a moment here to just allow the body to feel. Tuning into your senses around you. You can bend at the knees if you would like, sliding those heels up the mat. Now we're just going to turn onto our side. Take a moment here, there's no rush. Allow your body to just stay in this space for a moment in comfort, allowing those nice, deep breaths. And whenever you are ready, we're going to very gently, very slowly come up to seated. You can open the eyes if they're not already. And just coming to that space of comfort. And in this position, seated, just taking note of how the body feels in comparison to when we first started the practice. Taking a nice deep breath in. And exhale anything that you do not need to hold on to. So I hope, my friends, that you feel amazing in your soma, in the living body, and that you are able to connect and that your body feels much more relaxed. All right, spend a few minutes, whatever you need, and let me know in the comments how this made you feel. Have an amazing day or evening wherever you are, and I will see you next time.